inglés, así yo sé cuál lengua estás usando. Si siempre hablas inglés, yo voy a entenderlo. Awesome. So I was so confused just a second ago because I hadn't started the broadcast, but I didn't realize that you could actually ask questions as I'm setting up the broadcast. So that's pretty cool. Um, so quick video, Friday morning, weekend's almost here. I hope y'all have some amazing things planned. And what better time to talk about investing your time? So one of the sayings that people use a lot is time equals money, and it does. But especially in today's time, I think people it's more easy to see that your time equals money for somebody, but it doesn't mean that it's always you. So you could end up, spending a bunch of time on Instagram, and that ends up being a lot of money, but not for you. It ends up being more money in Zuck's pocket. So if you're talking about like managing your time, one of the people that I admire a lot is Warren Buffett. The first rule of managing money that I love from Buffett is just first thing is just saying no to pretty much everything. Buffett rarely takes meetings. He doesn't. His secretary is like a Nazi about his schedule, and he has. It's not like he it has this intense schedule. It's one thing after another, after another, after another. The majority of Buffett's time is actually spent investing in knowledge, not actually even investing. He rarely makes a trade. It's one of the things that's frustrating a lot of shareholders, even me as a shareholder. I love Berkshire, but I wish he would do a little bit more. But he understands that the most valuable thing he can do with his time is investing it in learning more. So he reads a lot, studies a lot of different companies, all of that, and that's kind of this highest ROI use of time. The other thing is gaining experience. So I did the video yesterday where we were talking about this concept of just like learning through taking action. And the more that you're taking action, that's really just another form of learning. It's not like the first thing of action shouldn't be, what am I going to get from this? The first thing from action should be, how can I learn from this? Because that's just the highest ROI thing you can do is do something, learn from doing that, and then be able to use that in the future. I'm so happy that I was able and willing to, when I was 19, 20, take a huge risk. It was looking back, it was a dumb risk because I didn't know anything. I didn't know what I was doing when I bought that first business, risked my credit history and all those things. But looking back, even if everything had gone completely wrong, I would have still had so much knowledge, and that's what led to kind of the future successes. And for a while, I considered that to be a failure. Even though kind of I made money off of it, and it took a mentor to kind of break down to me like, hey, you bought this business, yeah, it failed, but you bought it for 70,000, you made 300,000 over these 3-4 years, so like that's still a win. But for a while after that business failing, I felt like the business failed, so I failed. Like this didn't work. And that kind of is a little bit of the motivation of one of my posts on Instagram, just like the framing of how you look at what you've done really determines your failure or success. But if you're going into it saying the most valuable thing I can do is as quickly as possible get as much experience as possible and learn from that's the most valuable investment of time. The other side is as much reading, learning, and about a specific thing. One of the mistakes that people make is they're learning, but it's not valuable because one day you're learning about one thing, you learn about marketing, or you learn about Facebook, or you're learning about social media. The next day, you're trying to learn about real estate, and you're figuring out flipping and wholesaling. And the next day, you learn about the stock market. It's like, to go very, very deep is where you get the most value there. So my 3 things would be saying no to as much as possible, investing time in reading, investing time in learning, and then investing time in getting the experience, and not getting the experience because it's going to be some massive return. It's getting the experience because it's not until you start to take action that you're actually learning. Like all the stuff, the reading, all that doesn't matter. It's having that conversation with our number one broker in Good Merger, Andrew. It's like, after you spend a bunch of time reading and you get that enjoyment from it, you want to translate that into, okay, let me go out and take action, because you don't want to have like the connection of enjoyment just towards reading. You want to have the connection of enjoyment to what lessons am I getting out of real life? What things am I testing in what I'm doing in the actual real world? So hopefully that helps. We'll get a couple questions and let y'all get on with your Friday. ALB, what's up? Says, hey Ace, which type of business should I buy first if I never owned a business? My number one, this is such a great question. My number one recommendation is franchise. When I look at the different businesses that I've bought, if you've never owned a business, what you've got, the greatest benefit to buying a business is you've got a seller. You've got a seller who Andrew popped in. I was just shouting you out, man. So if you're buying a business, you have a seller. They've built the business. They're going to train you. They're going to teach you how to make that business successful. And then, we talk about all the time how to negotiate those deals. If you're interested in those strategies, be sure to join the Patreon. There's just a ton of content on that, patreon.com/Chapman. But you've got that seller where you're financially motivating them to teach you everything that they know. They know how to grow the business because they were the ones that built it. The cool thing is when you have a franchise, you have that seller. And, Andrew, we were just doing a deal like this where we've got a seller where the seller is selling the business. So, and they built a really successful franchise unit from the franchisor. So we're getting all of their knowledge. And then we also have a franchisor. And the franchisor is, like, hey, we'll train you, we'll fly in, we'll help, and so when you have those two levels of help, it's just there. And then you can combine that with the fact that at the end of the day, you are in a situation where the odds are just in your favor. It's easier to get financing because SBA loves franchises. You have a lower failure rate. Yeah, a higher success rate, lower failure rate. So your success, your chance of success are great, and that it's so crucial with that first deal. I think after that you can get into all the other crazy things, but with that first deal, you want it to be somewhat successful. So you're just trying to put, I want to put all the odds in your favor when you're doing that type of deal. So that would be definitely my recommendation. He goes on to say most sellers are online businesses, want the money up front, 100%. How do you buy online businesses without seller financing and not risking your own money? So I would still go back to my first recommendation for you. I would not be doing, not only do they want the money up front, if this is your first deal and you don't have experience, it's too risky. The failure rate is at the opposite end. Franchises, it's this amazing success rate. The failure rate for online acquisitions is outrageous. It's almost the opposite, like where you get 90% failure and you got 90% success on the other side. So I don't think I would even be trying to do that deal. But if you were going to do it, there are SBA lenders that would give that money up front. I would hate to see you get into a bunch of debt and have something in your first deal that sets you back. Like, I want you to get experience. I want you to go out and take action. But if you can avoid making mistakes, then let's still get the odds in your favor. Andrew popped in, says, Truth, thanks for popping in, sir. Darren says, what's good, Ace? He's part of the Patreon team. Yeah, he said, yep, Patreon. Awesome. Thank y'all for popping in. Let's have a productive, enjoyable, but productive weekend this weekend. I'll probably jump in. I want to talk about this Elon Musk deal because it's very interesting. His first private equity deal. So I'll probably pop in at some point and talk about that. Be sure to